Basketball is massive in China. Over 300 million people play it. The NBA has more fans in China than in the US itself. You'll find pickup games in Beijing alleys, high school tournaments with national broadcasts, and NBA jerseys worn by teens in every province. The love is real. The infrastructure is enormous. The money is there. And yet, the Chinese national team is a global afterthought. At the 2019 FIBA World Cup, hosted in their own backyard, China couldn't even make it out of the group stage. They lost to Poland and Venezuela and crashed out in humiliating fashion. In 2023, things got even worse. Blowout losses in Serbia and South Sudan, a 29th place finish out of 32. It was one of the worst performances in Chinese basketball history. So how can a country with everything, fans, funding, facilities, and passion, be this bad at basketball? The answer runs deeper than you think. Let's start with the paradox. On the surface, China looks like a basketball superpower. The CBA, China's top domestic league, draws millions of viewers every week. NBA games air in prime time. Outdoor courts are packed in every major city. Massive investments are made in youth development programs, professional clubs, and stadiums. Every metric screams success. But when the national team steps onto the global stage, it's a different story. The same country that built NBA-sized arenas gets dismantled by nations a fraction of its size. China has the numbers, but it doesn't have the results. It's a country that lives basketball, and yet can't play it at a high level. And the problem runs far deeper than bad shooting or missed free throws. To understand the root of China's basketball struggle, we have to look beyond the court and into the classroom. China's education system is built on order, repetition, and hierarchy. Kids are trained to follow rules, memorize answers, and respect authority. That same rigid philosophy seeps into basketball. Coaches are generals, players are soldiers. You're not taught to read the game, you're taught to follow the play. You're not rewarded for creativity, you're punished for it. In a country where obedience is a virtue, improvisation becomes a risk, and basketball is a game that thrives on improvisation, on split-second decisions, unpredictability, and feels. In the US, kids learn by playing. They build instincts in pickup games, school gyms, AAU circuits. They dribble, shoot, fail, and try again. They develop creativity through trial and error. In China, most kids don't get that. They're drilled, not taught. Evaluated, not nurtured. And above all, they're told not to fail. So they grow up technically sound, but emotionally rigid. They can run plays, but they can't read the game. They can't adapt. They can't lead. Because they were never allowed to think for themselves. Let's look at how China develops its players. By age 10 or 11, promising athletes are identified and placed into specialized sports schools. These are state-run institutions where basketball games become a full-time job. Classes are reduced, training dominates the schedule. It's a factory model. Produce medals, produce stars, or get discarded. And the scouting philosophy? It's outdated. Coaches are obsessed with height and athleticism. Skill and game senses are secondary. The system is constantly searching for the next Yao Ming, instead of building well-rounded basketball players. If you don't fit the mold, not tall enough or explosive enough by 13 or 14, you're cut. Worse still, once you're in the system, you rarely play against high-level competition. You train in isolation, the drills are rigid, the tactics are outdated, and there's very little room for individual development. And then comes the CBA, China's professional league. Here, instead of nurturing local talent, teams import foreign players who dominate the ball. These ex-NBA or EuroLeague players are paid to carry the team. Chinese prospects, they sit, they stagnate, they get no meaningful minutes. There's no equivalent to the NCAA, no G League, no structured development leagues. It's either CBA rotation or irrelevance. The few players who do make it through, they're underprepared, overcoached, and fundamentally unequipped to handle the pace, freedom, and pressure of modern basketball. Of course, China wasn't always this hopeless. For a time, they had a symbol of greatness. His name was Yao Ming. In 2002, Yao became the first international player ever selected #1 overall in the NBA draft without playing a single US game, and he delivered.
With the first pick in the 2002 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Yao Ming from Shanghai, China, and the Shanghai Sharks.
He was 7'6" with soft hands, smart decision-making, elite post moves, and a team-first mentality. He made 8 NBA All-Star appearances, battled with Shaq, represented China on the biggest stages. He became a national icon, a global ambassador, the bridge between East and West. And for a moment, China believed it had arrived. There was a problem. Yao Ming was an outlier. His parents were professional players. He had elite training, overseas exposure, and an exceptional understanding of the game. He was fluent in English. He had Western sports medicine, Western coaching, and Western competition. He was the result of rare circumstance, not the result of China's system. But the system didn't see it that way. They took credit. They doubled down. They searched for the next Yao, building programs around size and structure, and ignored what made Yao great, his mind. And when Yao retired, there was no one to take his place. In China, basketball is not just a sport. It's a political tool. The government treats international competitions as extensions of national pride. Wins are celebrated as victories for the country. Losses are seen as humiliations, failures of the system. Players don't just play, they represent. And with that comes unimaginable pressure. In 2019, when China lost to Poland in a key game, Zhao Qi's turnover in overtime became a national scandal. He was ridiculed across social media, torn apart in the press, and labeled a national embarrassment. This isn't just criticism, it's punishment. Players played scared. Coaches make safe choices. The system becomes about avoiding mistakes rather than creating success. And then there's the bureaucracy. Coaching positions are politically influenced. Player selections are subject to regional quotas. Development strategies are controlled by government bodies. Innovation is nearly impossible. You can't build a championship culture in an environment that punishes risk and promotes fear. Now let's look at what other countries are doing. Countries with far less population, far fewer resources, and far better results. Serbia, just 7 million people, and yet they consistently produce NBA talent, including Nikola Jokic, one of the most intelligent and dominant players of this generation. Spain, with a fully integrated youth system, strong club culture, and high basketball IQ, they've medaled in multiple Olympics and World Cups. Australia, a nation that sends its youth players overseas, encourages international experience and emphasizes versatility, producing players like Ben Simmons, Josh Giddey, and Dyson Daniels. The Philippines, a country without China's height or funding, but one that plays with more creativity, toughness, and chemistry than China has shown in a decade. Why are they better? Because they trust the process, not the pressure. They invest in player development, not propaganda. They allow freedom, failure, experimentation. And that's what makes great basketball players. Now here's the real question. Can China change? The answer is yes, but not easily. Because changing Chinese basketball means changing Chinese culture, or at least the way it interacts with sports. It means letting go of control, loosening the reins, letting coaches coach, letting players play. It means building a grassroots system that values development over domination. It means rewarding decision-making, not just discipline. It means creating opportunities for kids who don't fit the mold. There are signs of hope. Young Chinese players are starting to go overseas. Some are joining US high schools, NCAA teams, or international academies. They're learning the game the way the rest of the world does, through competition, adversity, and self-expression. Even Yao Ming, now the president of the CBA, has been pushing for reforms. He's spoken out about overtraining, burnout, and the need to modernize Chinese approach. But the resistance is real. The system is slow to change, the expectations are high, and the fear of failure still lingers. Basketball is freedom. It's improvisation, it's rhythm, it's creativity, it's joy. China doesn't lack athletes. It doesn't lack fans. It doesn't even lack resources. It lacks permission. Permission to fail, to learn, to grow. And until that changes, China will always be chasing the game instead of playing it. But the moment they do, the moment they let go, it could all flip. Because if a nation of 1.4 billion ever figures out how to truly play basketball, the rest of the world might not stand a chance.